Hey there, hello there, Chef Cutter Diamond welcoming you to yet another Stone Cold Hockey video, and we're going to be doing a special Stone Cold Hockey video. You see New Jersey, you see Montreal. These are the 1994 New Jersey Devils against the 1994 Montreal Canadiens. There's a one reason why. This reason. Yes, that's guy. Claude Lemieux passed away today, May 28th, 2026, in a massive shock. When I am taping this, this is about 2 hours after it happened. Well, I found out about this at 3:15 coming home from work. And, Percy Lemieux, 21 years in the NHL for 6 teams between 1983 and 2009. So, I don't think he played in 83, 84, did he? I don't think he did. Yeah, he only played 8 games for them. I don't count them. Oh, anyway, it doesn't matter. So yeah, so 4 Stanley Cups in his career, 2 with the Devils, with whom he won the playoff MVP in 1995. He was one of 11 players to win a Stanley Cup championship with 3 teams. That's amazing. And one of the greatest playoff performers. 9th most playoff goals in history with 80. And his son Brandon is an NHL player. Anyway, Claude was drafted in the second round of the 1983 entry draft by the Canadian Montreal. You probably would have figured that. 26 overall. Excuse me. He played from 1983 to 1990, winning the cup for them in 1986. It doesn't say this about him, but in 1986, when he was a youngster, when they played Hartford in the division finals, he scored famously in Game 7 in overtime over Mike Leo's shoulder. He helped the Habs win the cup in 1986. In 1989, apparently he had a injury to his stomach, so he couldn't play much in the 1989 Cup Finals, which actually could have ruined the Flames. Anyway, Lemieux was not thinking about ice time. Pat Burns was not really good with him, so he was traded to the Devils for Sylvain Turgeon. He had some good years, and in 1995 he won a second Stanley Cup as the Devils beat the Red Wings. He got 13 goals and was named the Conn Smythe Trophy MVP. And then there was a 3-team deal between the Islanders, the Avalanche, and the Devils. Claude Lemieux would find his way from New Jersey to Colorado. Wendell Clark and Steve Thomas would both end up on the island, if you will. But anyway, yeah, Claude Lemieux was there in 1996. When we get down a little bit further in the wiki page, we'll talk about that. But yeah, Lemieux became the 10th player to win back-to-back Stanley Cups with different teams. In 1999, he stayed till 99 and then was traded back to New Jersey in a trade that sent Brian Rolston to Colorado, winning the Cup in 2000. He signed with the Coyotes as a free agent, and then they traded him to Dallas for Scott Pellerin. He ended his career in 2003, and then he took part in some things. He was part of Pros versus Joes on Spike TV. In October 2009, he was part of the Battle of the Blades, a figure skater and a hockey player and all that. So anyway, that's what happened. And then he actually made an attempt to come back in the NHL by September 2008. He went to the Asian League playing for the China Sharks. And then he went to another Sharks team, Worcester, in the AHL. And then he signed a 2-way deal with the Sharks, the San Jose Sharks. He only scored 1 point in his comeback. The Sharks did win the President's Trophy, but didn't do well. Internationally, he was part of the Canada Cup team in 1987 that won the championship against the Russians. Part of the 96 World Cup team that took silver, the World Cup of Hockey that lost to the Americans. And World Juniors, he was gold medal in 1985. So yeah, he's only scored 2 points in 6 games in that one part. Yeah. His playing style was known and all that. He was known for playing his best games during the postseason. He made 15 consecutive postseasons and went to 18 postseasons. 234 games, which is fourth all time in the NHL, which was amazing. On 3 occasions, he scored more goals during the playoffs than the regular season: 86, 95, and 97. Criticism is he was dirty and all that. He was actually ranked second by TSN for the top 10 most hated NHL players of all time behind Sean Avery. All that. Allegedly, Lemieux bit Jim Plemplitsky on the finger during a scuffle. Of course, the worst moment was in 1996 in Game 6 of the conference finals. The Avalanche beat the Red Wings on home turf. Colorado was going to the Stanley Cup finals and shocking the 62 win um, Red Wings. There was a lot of problems during the first 5 games, and then Lemieux's reputation was solidified when Lemieux hit Chris Draper into the boards from behind in the first period of Game 6. Draper had to have a concussion, broken jaw, broken nose, and broken cheekbone, and he had to have reconstructive surgery on his face and jaw, and his jaw was wired shut for several weeks. There was a bitter rivalry between the teams. The NHL only gave him a 2-game suspension for the Stanley Cup Finals. It should have been longer, technically. And Claude Lemieux was allowed to do the handshake line after Colorado beat Detroit. Dino Ciccarelli said it best when he says, "I can't believe I shook this guy's freaking hand out of the game. That pisses me right off." Tensions between the two teams would continue to rise, reaching a breaking point the next season. And then, of course, in March 1997, the fight night at the Joe, Darren McCurdy actually would have a fight with Claude Lemieux after Peter Forsberg started a fight with Igor Larionov. McCarty threw one punch to Lemieux, who turned on the ice and was badly beaten before the officials could remove McCarty. A lot of people said that Lemieux was basically being a coward, but it was found out that McCarty knocked him flat with a punch and he was hurt. McCarty was given a double minor for roughing and all that. And then the next regular season game between Colorado and Detroit, Lemieux fought McCarty. He was born in Buckingham, Quebec. What a weird name. Quebec and Buckingham. He resigned in Huntington Beach, California, and became a naturalized U.S. citizen by 2009. He is the older brother of Jocelyn Lemieux. And yes, I have Jocelyn's card with the Chicago Blackhawks. He's not related to Mario Lemieux, and he's another brother, Serge, who was actually diagnosed with cerebral palsy. I know people with cerebral palsy. It's not fun. Lemieux had 4 children between 2 marriages, with 1 son, and that'd be making the NHL. That was Brandon. He played for 5 NHL teams over 7 seasons, including New York and Los Angeles. And they're actually the only father-son duo to be punished by the NHL for biting other players. He was often a guest on TSN's Off the Record with Michael Landsberg, when that was a decent show. And apparently he died Lake Park at age 60, and for some strange reason, he committed you-know-what. He actually was a torchbearer for the pregame festivities during a Montreal playoff game, which makes it more weird. So yeah, he was drafted from Trois Rivières, and then he went to Verdun and all that. Verdun. I keep thinking Verdun was the same team as Wa, but that's Gromby for Wa. So yeah, he came up. He played 10 games in the 86 season with 3 points, 10 goals in 20 playoff games. Montreal, then New Jersey, then Colorado, then New Jersey again, then Phoenix, Dallas, and San Jose. He scored 379 goals in 1,215 games, regular season games, 786 points, 1,777 penalty minutes. In the playoffs, 80 goals in 234 games, 158 points, and 529 penalty minutes. He was the playoff MVP for the Quebec League in 1985. I think they went to the Memorial Cup. So anyway, yeah, 4-time Stanley Cup champ. Yeah, he was Montreal's second round choice. And then he got traded to New Jersey for Sam Turgeon. And then in the 3-2 trade, he was traded to the Islanders for Steve Thomas. So Thomas to come to New Jersey. And then the Islanders traded him to Colorado for Wendell Clark. And then November 1999, he was traded by Colorado alongside Colorado's first round choice in the 2000 draft, which was David Hale, and second round choice with Matt DeMarchi to the Devils for Brian Rolston, and New Jersey second round pick Martin Samuelson. So division with the Coyotes traded to Dallas for Scott Pellerin and a fourth round pick, which didn't work out. So yeah, that is Claude Lemieux in a nutshell for you. All right, I know I could have done the 84 Canadiens versus the 94 Devils, but the fact is that, the trouble with Stone Cold Hockey is that it's the seasons, the lack of seasons. They don't have all the seasons sets. They have 19 in the 80s. They have 82, 84, well, 81-82, then 83, 84. Then there's a big skip till 90, 91, then 91, 92, then 93, 94. And then there's a massive gap till 2006. So that's the problem with me trying to do Lemieux for Montreal. But anyway, yeah, it's the 94 Devils and the 94 Habs. So we're going to do a little bit of a simulation of a 7-game series. We'll simulate until someone gets to 3 wins. First game goes to the Devils 4-1. Red Light Rassico against Martin Brodeur. Paul DiPietro scoring for Desjardins Brashear first. Then that was Nichols from Carpenter and McLean. Then Scott Stevens, Bill Guerin, Claude Lemieux scored an empty netter from Modry, Yaroslav Modry, 4-1. Game 2. Sees more of the same. Devils win 4-3. Terrari beats Waugh. Montreal goes by Dompoos, Schneider. New Jersey goes by Seamack, McLean, Selapukin, and Claude. Claude scored in the third period from Millen and McLean. Game 3 sees Devils win 4-1. As Terrari beats Ron Tucknett. That's right. Montreal needed a backup goalie when Waugh was having troubles, and Rasica was not the answer. 4-1. Desjardins scored for Montreal. Lemieux didn't score any points. Shorsky, David Emma, John McLean, and Valery Pukic. So it's 3-0. We could see this end in one foul swoop. 94 Devils, Chris Terrari in the net against Ron Tucknett. Yeah, I know Martin Berder, but it's 3-0. Peter Sidorkowitz even played for the 94 Devils. Cool. Of course, the previous year he played for Ottawa in '93 and got to the All-Star game because Ottawa needed a player in the All-Star game. Montreal, Ron Tucknett came in for Rasico, who was ineffective. Les Kuntar couldn't do the job, and now they could Frederick Chabot to be the backup to Patty Waugh. The 94 Habs, Vincent Dompoos, former Leaf, if you must know. Yeah, Vincent Dompoos was a Leaf. Brian Bellows, Kitchener. That's right. I have to say the Kitchener Rangers. And of course, this is 3 days before Kitchener is in the Memorial Cup final for realsies. Now the question of everyone's list will be Everett or Chicoutimi. Will they face the WHL champs or the Quebec League champs Sunday night? I don't know. Kirk Muller, who was a pretty good player and a former Leaf. Well, after the fact, Brian Bellows never played for the Leafs. Matthew Schneider, who was a good defenseman before being sent to the Flyers. No, Flyers? I can't be right. No, the Islanders. Anyway, Gilbert Dion, Kitchener. That's right. Gilbert Dion was a former Kitchener Ranger, part of the 1990 squad that lost the final to Oshawa. And yes, that's Marcel's younger brother. John Leclerc, people forget John Leclerc was a Montreal Canadien before a Flyer. Mike Keane, who was okay and then was captain and then traded in the deal with Patrick Waugh to Colorado. Guy Carbonneau, icon, who went to St. Louis, stupidly enough. Paul DiPietro, who was the 93 hat-trick hero against Quebec in Game 6. Eric Desjardins, hat-trick in Game 2 of the Cup final against the Kings in '93. Oleg Petrov, Lyle Odeline, bruiser. Benoit Brunet, good player. Ed Rodin, Gary Lehman, former 50-goal scorer of the Leafs. Kevin Haller, former Sabre icon. Pierre Savigny, Patrice Brisebois before he came to his own. Jerzy Danilo, who's slipping. Peter Popovich, Ron Wilson. I don't think that Ron Wilson. Donald Brashear was there. Mario Roberge and Christian Pro. For the Devils, Claude Lemieux is not high on the scoring list, but John McLean, who was a pretty good player for many years. Stéphane Richer, who the Habs traded to the Devils for Kirk Muller the year after trading Claude to the Devils for Sylvain Turgeon. Valery Selapukin scoring a famous goal, 7 seconds left in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Rangers, but lost thanks to Matteau. Bill Guerin, Tom Shorsky, who was decent, he was a former Hab. Corey Millen, former Ranger. Bernie Nichols, former Ranger and King. Scott Stevens, Kitchener. That's right, Kitchener Ranger, Scott Stevens. Look it up, people. Claude Lemieux, yep. Then Bobby Holik in his own. Alex Seamack, Randy McKay, Scotty Niedermeyer, who the Leafs could have had number 30 overall if they hadn't traded that pick to the Devils for frickin' Tom Curvers. Whatever. Bobby Carpenter, who was this hotshot American player, but his career fell flat. Bruce Driver, good defenseman Jim Dowd before he went to Minnesota. David Emma, Mike Peluso, Goon, Tommy Amelie, Yaroslav Modry. People that he was just a king. Slava Fetisov before he went to the Red Wings. Ken Danico, who's number 3, I think is retired. I can't remember. Ben Hankinson and Jason Smith. Here we go. 2 minutes into the game. Battle. 19. Power play skills. Power play goal. Tom Strawberry Shorsky. His second from Niedermeyer. 1-0. 1 minute later. Red. Montreal. Oh, Haller had a chance. Much later. Blue. Devil skiers. It's Millen time. Corey Millen's first from McLean and Richer makes it 2-0. Richer trying to screw his former team. Much later. Montreal. Gilbert. No. Devils are up 2-0 through 1 period. Lemieux has not done much. 3 minutes into the second. 3 more minutes. Devils stats. Selapukin. Aye. 3 minutes later. Again. Shot scores. Stefan Sixpence, not the Richer. His first from McLean. Kiss me. Must be from McLean. 4 minutes later. There's another Jesskier. Kitchener. Great Scott. His second from Millen and Richer makes it 4-0. Looks bad for Montreal. 4 minutes later. No. I am definitely getting rid of Ron Tucknut in the net. Kunter is going to come in. Devils are up 4-0. Lemieux hasn't done anything. He doesn't have to. 4 minutes into the game. Hertzky Strawberry Shorsky does it again from Millen and Stevens. Makes it 5-0. 1 minute later. Montreal, Leclerc? No. I thought you had it. 2 minutes later. 5-0. Much later. Gilbert? No. And Leclerc gets whacked by Semak. And Clinton Tom Cruise puts it in from doubles and rollers. Like I care. The Devils are going to win this thing. Oh, yeah. Claude Lemieux wasn't needed at all. They win 5-1. Yeah. Yeah, too bad that Claude Lemieux, you don't. Yeah, most games you have the simulation and then you see the scores and, the stats, but you really don't. So the Devils sweep the Habitants, giving up only 6 goals, including only 3 in game 2, and then the rest were 3. Montreal, well, 4 goalies. Tucknut was 0-2. Watt 0-1. Kunter played that one game, and Rasico lost. Vincent Delpuz was the only player to score more than 3 points. Desjardins scored 2. Delpuz scored more goals than any other have had point. Anyway, the Devils. Terrari 3-0, Berger 1-0. They didn't need Martin Berger. Claude Lemieux could only put up 2 points in that game. Serious. John McClain with 8, Corey Milling with 6, Scott Stevens, Kitchener with 6. Claude Lemieux, 2 goals, was second on the team. Shorsky had 3, McClain, Selapukin, Stevens, Lemieux, Richer, Guerin, Millen, Nichols, Seamak, and Emma. Tom Shorsky. Can't believe it. Tom freaking Shorsky scored the most goals in this thing. So, yeah, only 2 points. Claude Lemieux only took 1 damn penalty. But, yeah. They did what they did, and Claude Lemieux is an icon. I wish I could have done a more comprehensive thingy for Claude Lemieux, but it's better sometimes just to be a little small on it. But anyway, RIP Claude Lemieux. I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.